So you've got a mini PC, but you want a clean install of Windows for whatever reason. Maybe there's some viruses or malware on it, or maybe Windows 11 is playing up. Well then, this guide will go through how to do that step by step for various scenarios. We'll also cover how to find any drivers that might be missing if you're installing on a bare bones unit. Everything is split into chapters to make it easy to choose the section relevant to you. And since the aim is to cover as many scenarios as possible, let's start with the simplest way to get a clean Windows install, and that is the reset option, for those that already have Windows on their mini PC. The Windows reset feature may fix any issues you're facing with your mini PC, including getting rid of viruses and malware. First, connect to the internet if you haven't already. Then, click on the search bar and type reset this PC. Click on it. Then, reset PC. Keep My Files will allow you to reset Windows without losing the personal files stored on the Mini, but any apps you have installed will be removed. Remove Everything is similar to a full factory reset, and that's what I'm going to pick here. Choose Cloud Install, which downloads the latest available build of Windows from Microsoft servers and is the recommended option unless you have super slow internet or data limits. Note, if this has been modified by the manufacturer, you might still not get a clean version of Windows with either reset option. Follow the prompts, and resetting can take around 45 minutes or more depending on the speed of the hardware in the mini PC. Once you're back at the setup screen, go through the prompts as you would have when turning on the Mini for the first time. If you're using Windows Reset to remove viruses and malware, I recommend downloading something like Malwarebytes and doing a scan after the reset to make sure it's clean. Before starting the Windows reinstall from scratch, I need to throw out a disclaimer, since my video is taken down, as YouTube treats all creators the same and applies the rules equally. When you buy a pre-built mini PC, you should get a Windows license that is tied to the mainboard. You can check the status of your activation while connected to the internet by typing activation settings in the search bar and clicking into it. Reinstalling Windows and changing the region or hardware can cause your mini PC to become deactivated. It should reactivate fine after a reinstall, but I make no guarantees. Since Linus Tech Tips is allowed to talk about how to solve this issue if you come across it, I will link that video in the video description and leave the choice of whether to continue up to you. The most important device a Windows computer user should own is a USB drive of at least 8 GB in size containing a bootable Windows installer. To create it, go to the Microsoft page for downloading the Windows version you want to install. I've linked it in the video description or search for it in Google. Scroll down to the bottom and select the Windows ISO. Choose your language and then download it. Once it's downloaded, we need an app called Rufus to create the USB installation media, also linked in the video description. Download the portable version so you don't need to install it. Plug in your USB drive and take note of the drive letter, or find it in this PC. Make sure there's nothing on the USB drive that you want to keep, as it's going to get completely wiped by the installation media we're creating. Open Rufus. Select your USB drive letter. Again, make sure to select the correct one. Then select the Windows ISO that was downloaded. The rest of the options can be left alone. Click Start. Rufus has some handy options such as removing the requirements for Secure Boot and a Microsoft account to install Windows 11. And there are some other options you might find useful, but we'll go with what it's selected by default. When we continue, Rufus warns us that all the files on the drive we selected are about to be erased. Make sure you've chosen the correct drive for your USB and continue. Now we just wait for Rufus to write the files to the drive and create the bootable USB. Thanks, Rufus. Okay, so we have our installation media ready. We could use it to install Windows from scratch straight away, but many mini PC brands do not provide drivers for their mini PCs on an easy to download website. So now's a good time to back up the drivers from the current Windows install if you can't find any on the official mini PC website for your brand and model. To do that, head to the Windows search bar, type CMD, right-click, Run as Administrator. Click into the command prompt window and type the following command, or copy and paste it from the video description. You can use the right-click to paste into the command prompt window. Then press Enter. The drivers will be exported to the C drive drivers folder. You can copy this folder to your Windows USB if you have enough space, otherwise copy it to another one or upload to a cloud drive to get them later. Now is also the time to back up any files on the Mini you want to keep, as installing Windows from the installation media will wipe this drive. To install Windows, we need to boot off the installation media we created. If you're on a barebones unit with no Windows or other OS, just plug in the USB drive and power on. The Mini should boot off the USB drive and you can skip to the next section. For the rest of us, we're going to go through 3 options for booting off the installation media. First, plug in the USB drive if you haven't already. Now, we'll try to access the boot menu. Restart or power on your Mini PC and mash either the F2, F5, F7, F10, Escape or Delete key. On my Mini, the boot menu is F7. Choose the top UEFI OS USB option with the arrow keys and press Enter. Move on to the next section. If you didn't find the boot option of your Mini, but you got a different screen, you may have entered the BIOS instead. That's fine, we can boot from the USB drive here as well. Yours may look a bit different, but we're looking for the same option, which is something called Boot Override. That might be in the Boot tab, or the Save and Exit tab like it is here. Navigate with the arrow keys and select the UEFI OS of your USB drive and press Enter. The third option, if you already have Windows, is to try and boot the USB from the recovery menu. Click the Windows icon. Click the power button, hold the Shift key on your keyboard and click Restart. This will bring you to the Windows recovery menu. Click User Device and select the UEFI OS. It should boot off the USB drive. Now that we're at the setup screen, you can choose the language and time and currency settings. Those that want to try and keep their Windows activation should select their specific country, while those who want the cleanest Windows install but don't mind losing their license can choose English World. Select the keyboard. We're installing Windows, so this is correct. But here's the repair option for the future if needed. Tick the box which informs you that everything will be deleted on the drive we install Windows to. If you have files you want to keep, power off your Mini, power it back on without the installation media, and back up your data in Windows. Otherwise, click Next. We don't have a product key, so choose that option. Select the operating system. Windows Pro is what most of us will want. Accept the license agreement. Here we need to choose which drive we're going to install Windows on. Since this isn't a barebones Mini or one with an empty drive, there's an existing Windows installation present and we need to delete it. I know it's a disk 0 since it mentions it's Windows, but even if it doesn't, we know the name of the USB stick starts with CC comma after creating it in Rufus, and the storage size of this USB is around 8 GB, so it's definitely not disk 1. In my case, it's disk 0 that I want to install to, and it has multiple partitions which need to be deleted to make one whole drive again. One last fair warning, the next step wipes all data on the drive. Once you're sure you have the right disk, click delete partition on each one for the correct disk number until there's only one left that says unallocated space. The disk is whole again, and since it's selected, we can click Next. Now we click Install, and the installation media will copy over the files and restart. The whole process should take 15 minutes or less, depending on the speed of your hardware. While it's installing, remove the Ethernet cable if it's connected to your mini PC to disconnect from the internet and avoid creating a Microsoft account. Once it's finished, you'll end up on the initial setup screen. Select your region if it's not correct. Otherwise, click Next. Select the keyboard. Choose I don't have internet to avoid creating a Microsoft account. Enter a name for your mini PC. If you want a password to log in with, you can do that here. If you just want it to boot straight to the desktop, skip it by clicking Next. The privacy settings are up to you. I recommend turning everything off. Once you click Accept, the installation will be finalized. And there we are. Congratulations! You've installed Windows on your mini PC. You can now remove the USB installation media. There's still plenty left to do. So let's start with the easiest part next. Connect to the internet via wired or wireless internet. If neither works or is unavailable, it's most likely because the software drivers are missing. Head to the driver section of the video and come back here after. Once connected to the internet, go to the search bar and type updates. Click check for updates, and then click again to search for any updates to Windows. Depending on your hardware, it may also find some missing drivers you don't have installed. The update process can take a while, so be patient. Once they're all downloaded and installed, click check for updates a couple more times until it doesn't find anything new and you're up to date. Now that Windows is updated, it's time to check if any drivers are missing. Right-click the Windows icon and choose Device Manager. All these devices with exclamation marks and yellow signage are missing drivers. Let's start with restoring the drivers backed up previously. The easiest way is in Device Manager. Right-click the device and choose Update Driver. Then browse My Computer for drivers. Select the location of your driver folder that you backed up previously. It'll find the correct driver and install it. You need to do this manually for each device, but it's quick and easy to do. If the brand provides the drivers for your mini PC, you'll either run the driver installation files or you can do it through Device Manager like I just did if they're just loose files. And if you're missing drivers and don't know where to get them, here are a few tips on how to find them. Device Manager has the information you need. Right-click the Windows icon and select it. The missing drivers have the exclamation mark on them. First option is to use software to find the drivers for you if you have an internet connection. Something I've used in the past is AVG Driver Updater. It's not perfect and has sometimes not found the missing driver or installed the wrong one. But 95% of the time, it does a good job and has a free time-limited trial. It's pretty simple. Install the software and scan for drivers. Click Update All and let it finish. Back in Device Manager, all the exclamation marks are gone. In this case, AVG found all the missing drivers. If you don't have an internet connection, right-click the Windows icon and choose Device Manager. All these devices with exclamation marks and yellow signage are missing drivers. You'll need to right-click Properties on a device that's missing drivers. Head to Events and you'll see the information for the device. Copy the ven and div values and search for it on another device with an internet connection. Looking it up, this is an Intel Alder Lake driver, but not the Ethernet or Wi-Fi device. Keep checking until you find one like this, which is a Realtek wireless card or Ethernet if you're using wired internet. Once identified, you can search for the driver, download it onto a USB and install it. Sometimes you'll be missing ACPI drivers. Here's an example. Right-click, Properties, and you can see it in Events. We can copy this into Google for more information. And now, I'll show you how to find drivers manually. So our last option is to find drivers elsewhere. Normally, I don't recommend downloading from so-called driver websites as they could include malware or ask for payment. But I've used DriverPack and it's safe as long as you download the zip driver file. Most of the time, pasting the ID of the device in Google will get you a DriverPack entry. Download the zip, unzip it, and then go back to Device Manager. Right-click, Update Driver, select the location of the file, and it should install it. Then move on to the next missing driver following the same process of searching up its ID to identify it and looking for a download option. I also use reputable sites like Dell and Lenovo if the device IDs match to find drivers for minis that use less common hardware. Some more utilities that will be of use for installing and updating drivers depending on your hardware include AMD Adrenalin, Intel's Driver and Support Assistant, and the NVIDIA app if your Mini has an NVIDIA graphics card. Now we're going to go over how to enable Secure Boot. You can check if Secure Boot is enabled by typing system information in the search bar and clicking into it. In Secure Boot state, it will say if it's on or off. To turn it on, head to the BIOS of your Mini PC. Restart or power on your Mini PC and mash either the F2, F5, F7, F10, Escape or Delete key. Your BIOS may not look the same as this one. If your mouse doesn't work, you'll need to use your keyboard to navigate. For most computers, the Secure Boot option will be in Security or the Boot tab. For this Mini PC, it's in the Security tab. Navigate there with the arrow keys. Enable it if it isn't already, and press Enter. Next, go to Restore Factory Keys, confirm with Enter. If it asks to quit without saving, choose No. Head to the Save and Exit tab and save and exit. You'll boot back into Windows. Now go back to System Information, and Secure Boot should show that it's enabled. There are some other things I like to do with a new Windows install, and these are optional. First up is a script debloating Windows by removing pre-installed apps, annoying features, and bringing back the traditional right-click context menu over the new one in Windows 11. For this, I use Windows 11 Debloat, linked in the video description. Press the copy icon. Type PowerShell in the Windows search, and paste this command. You can use the right click on your mouse to paste it in the window. Then press Enter. The default mode will just remove pre-installed apps, but I prefer to use the custom mode, which prompts you with questions. It allows you to enable dark mode, restore the Windows 10 context menu, and more. Anything you're unsure of can be looked up in Google to find out what it is, or to be safe, not changed at all. These are the options I pick for my own personal preference. Then press Enter. Another very useful website to visit after a Windows installation is Ninite.com. Thanks to my awesome buddy Nick from Gear Seekers for sharing this one with me. Ninite allows you to pick common free apps you use from the available options and package them into one executable for download. Once you run it, it will then install all of them for you. Now that I know about it, I can't live without it. This cuts down the amount of time spent on a new install substantially. Any remaining paid software or software that isn't listed on Ninite.com can now be installed, and you should be up and running. There we are, the ultimate guide to reinstalling Windows on your mini PC. For whatever reason, if you found this guide useful, please like, comment, share, and subscribe if you can. It all helps, as does using my affiliate links in the video description if you plan to buy anything from the stores listed at any time. Thanks again for your support, and if you're looking for a mini PC recommendation, my current top 5 under $250 video is here, and over $250 is here. Cheers!